The views and opinions on this program do not necessarily express the views and opinions of the management of 58 WCHS or West Virginia Radio Corporation.
And a very happy Friday morning to you. You're listening to Ask the Expert on WCHS. We are the voice of Charleston. It's 11 minutes past 9 o'clock. And for this Friday morning, we have a special treat for you. Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey is with us this morning. Good morning, Dr. Bailey. How are you doing?
Great. How are you? Good morning.
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. Are you excited for the autumn season and Halloween coming up?
Well, yes, this is the fear. So that's what I picked as a topic today. Can fear cause you to lose sleep?
I think that's an outstanding subject to talk about today, because we all have different fears in our life of some kind of another. It doesn't have to be necessarily the things that go bump in the night, unless it's you bumping your head against the headboard because you're so stressed out over something or other. Before we get to that, I do want to talk a little bit about, you do have a new website you're going to be rolling out next week, or in 2 weeks, about 2 weeks from now.
Yes, if everybody look on 1028 at www.westvirginiasleepandtmj.com. This has been a labor of love. My goodness, it's so much work to put out a website.
It really is. I know that I've designed some, and I've commissioned some to be designed before in my life with different businesses, and it seems like it's never ending, the amount of options that you have to put in place, not only with the features of your website, but also with different text that you have to write and everything else. That's kind of a labor of love. So again, that's in about 10 days, on about the 28th. You'll have your website up and running, and that's going to be wvsleepandtmj.com. So spell that all out. So wvsleepandtmj.com. Pretty exciting, and I'm going to make a follow-up on my calendar so I can go and check it out, because I always liked your old website. I liked it quite a bit.
Yes, and you can still visit that. That's westvirginiasmileartist.com. But, you know, when we were trying to design this, I couldn't land on what's the main theme. What are we going to do? You know, everybody knows I treat exclusively sleep and TMD. I'm a general dentist with interest in those areas, but I couldn't get the layout down. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to put all of these West Virginia photographs on there. So we have the Capitol and the Gorge, and you know, I think that's my true personality and reflects who I am, because I love West Virginia. And I just like to make an invitation. If anybody out there has some wonderful pictures of West Virginia, please let me have those. If you would send them to me, just call the office at Kelly. We'll give you the right address to get it to. I'd love to feature people's photos of West Virginia on my website.
What a great idea. So your phone number is 757-7428, 757-7428. You can give a call. If you have some West Virginia photos that you want Dr. Bailey to be able to share, then you can give a call to her office and get arrangements to send those. Probably electronically would be the easiest way, so you can appropriate them to the website. I think that's a fantastic idea, though, because you're kind of putting a bit of what your passion is. Obviously, from the time that you called us from the State Fair a couple shows ago, and we had a great time with that. And you obviously love the state, and you love the events that go on. So that's a great reflection of your personality.
It is. And if any amateur photographers out there, or professional, I have a couple of people that are professional that said, oh, please, as long as you recognize my name, put it on there. So I'm very happy that we're going to have some pretty photos.
You know, my wife and I are amateur I guess, passionate photographers. We might have a few things, because we traveled the state quite a bit when we first met and took a lot of nice pictures from around the state. We'll see what we can do as far as that goes. Let's get out the information for you this morning. If you have any questions for Dr. Bailey, you can give us a call, and that number is 304-345-5858. That's 345-5858. We all know that you have questions that when you hear the program in the past, you're like, the next time that she's on, I need to call up and ask this question. Now's your time. We can answer your questions this morning. Just give us a call at 345-5858. Ask the Expert on WCHS. When we were first starting out the program, you were talking about how you wanted to talk about, Halloween's coming up, and we all get, and tying that in with fear. We all get a little scared of things, whether it's I'm not talking about supernatural things, but necessarily. But just recently the government shutdown's over. That's one of the things that people worry about. This kind of things. You have different things that are tied into that, and could that possibly cause some sleep problems and things like grinding teeth along those lines?
Sure. Fear can cause sleep loss, and fear translates into stress. So when the government did its big shutdown thing, and we've all been on pins and needles about this, although we know there's nothing that we can do about it, gosh, we worried about a lot of things. You worried about your investment. You think, are we going to be stable or not? And the people who work for the government didn't get a paycheck. And, some people, unfortunately, don't know how to plan ahead. And if you do not get that check, then, oh, my gosh, you're going to default on your car payment or your house payment. And then country safety. My brother works for the Pentagon, and he is in Secretary of Defense. And you worry about, geez, are we vulnerable from a perspective of being protected by our government? We're a vulnerable thing. And then we have the fear of all of this health care thing coming about, and people call it Obamacare. I just like to call it health care. But, geez, that is a huge fear. Am I going to be covered with a good health insurance?
Generally, how does that work with your practice? Do you need to have a referral to come in for insurances to help cover, or is that something that is considered, if they have that problem, they can check with you and come in and insurance is billed normally?
Yeah, people just come in to see me all the time, and they do not have to have a referral to come see me. Usually I'm referring them to the proper people, or I'm treating them, but there is no referral needed to come to my office.
Yeah, with being scared, what I was trying to do, some of the fear that I had is I was actually worried about some of my family members, and that they were so scared, regardless of me explaining that this isn't the first time that we've had a government shutdown. In fact, I think it's the 12th time or the 17th time, something like that. It's happened several times in the past, and yeah, there's a tough go of it, but there's no reason to do anything drastic. So that's kind of the problem that I had. I was worried about some family, don't do anything drastic right now. This is going to be over with, and there'll be a resolution. That will probably just solve the problem for 3 months. But anyway, is there a difference when we talk about losing sleep, and we know that you deal with sleep apnea as well? Is there a difference between just sleep loss and sleep apnea?
Well, when you're doing sleep loss, we're just going to label that insomnia.
Okay.
Insomnia is where you just can't sleep. And lots and lots. It's the number one sleep disorder out there is insomnia, not sleep apnea. Whereas sleep apnea, you're going to stop breathing for 10 seconds or longer. So insomnia is you're losing sleep, you can't sleep. And by the way, everyone, I have been an insomniac, so I know all about it. I can stay up all night long and not have a problem. But, sleep apnea is the opposite. It's where you stop breathing for 10 seconds or longer.
And we're talking this morning about some of the fears that you have in your life and how that can lead to problems with your sleep health. And can different stress actually bring on, if you have like more mild sleep apnea or something along those lines, can more stress actually bring on more severe symptoms?
Yes, it can, and a lot of people do things that are contraindicated. When you have sleep apnea, you have to be very careful, like if you drink alcohol before bedtime, that's going to make your sleep apnea worse. So when people are real fearful of what their investments are going to do, or, the stress level is very high, they have a tendency to drink a beer because it's sedative before bed, as a hops is a sedative. Then it makes the sleep apnea worse. So some of the things that we have a tendency to do to make us calm down on the stress or fear level actually makes the events worse.
So taking a little hot toddy before bed or something along those lines, that can actually accentuate your problems as well?
Absolutely, and everybody knows that. When people go out and they have a good time on Friday night, there's more. I always say there's more snoring on Friday night because people, they do more alcohol or more sedative type products, and there's more snoring on Friday night than any night of the week, and that just makes everything relax in the back of your throat, and you snore more.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I know that I recently went on vacation. My wife and I went to see a concert. There were some alcoholic beverages that were consumed legally without driving or anything. But my wife's a trooper. She usually doesn't complain about my snoring or anything like that. I try to be polite with it. But in the hotel that night, she had to nudge me awake a few times. Be like, you have to roll over and do something because you're really passed out and snoring quite loudly. So I guess that's the same thing. It's because it was elevated because of a little bit of alcohol consumption that night.
Yes, it made the muscles relax in the back of your throat.
And so that makes the not the productivity, but the symptom of snoring a lot worse.
Yes, and apnea a lot worse because all of the muscles in the back of your throat relax. The tongue falls backwards, and when it falls backwards, it closes off the airway.
You can give us a call this morning at 345-5858. That's 345-5858. Jeannie K. Bailey is our expert this morning, and we're talking about some of the fears that lead to some of the disorders in your life, and we're trying to deal with those problems and also talk you down a little bit, because although it's the season to be of fear, you don't have to be afraid. How do you know if you're suffering from some of these symptoms? How do you know if you might need to go to a doctor for help?
Well, sometimes when you snore so loudly, someone around you, or if you stop breathing, your significant other will say, "Oh my gosh, they stopped breathing." I hear that daily. And when the snoring is so loud, you have to sleep in a different room. That's a warning sign. So snoring is a warning sign of sleep apnea. And the other thing is, if you wake up with a headache, you either have TMJ disorder, or more than likely you could have a combo where you have sleep apnea, because when you wake up with that headache, you're not getting quality oxygen where you stop breathing. And then sometimes you get that excessive daytime sleepiness. People are not functioning well. So when the government did shut down and people were very, very fearful, I wonder if there was any statistical analysis on the car wrecks that went up, because, you're going to wreck your car if you're not getting good quality sleep. And plus you're just frequently ill and depressed, and you get weight gain. So there's all kinds of spin-offs that come from this.
And one thing that I've noticed before, if you are diagnosed with apnea and you later get a CPAP machine or something along those lines, that's something that you should use every night when it comes about. I know my father-in-law is a sufferer, and when we go camping, sometimes as a family we'll go camping. He actually has a generator that he hooks up to his truck so he can hook his CPAP machine up, because it's that crucial to his health and to his sleep health.
And, this time of year, we always look at Halloween, and this is the fearful time. Well, I always say they come out at, night, but it's not just the Halloweenies that come out. It's the hunters that come out, and when the hunters come out, they come out in early morning, and they're the fearful ones, too, because my child is obsessed with hunting.
Okay.
So they're the ones that I really want to watch too, because I had a hunter come to me and he said he goes out with his hunting buddies and he has sleep apnea real bad and he can't plug in his CPAP. He doesn't take a generator. And he says, "What can I do?" So for people like that, I build an oral appliance so that they can travel with an oral appliance and reduce the snoring and not bother the people around them.
So there are options for more travel-friendly devices that you can get.
Yes, that's what I do, is build oral appliances to open up the airway so that when that tongue is falling backwards, we're pulling it forward, getting it out, opening up the airway, and that way you don't have to worry about plugging in your CPAP.
That would be very handy to have in that situation. And I imagine that a lot of people would like to travel with it, or even keep one in like an emergency kit or something if you happen to be stranded, if you're traveling distances or something along those lines. It would be something that's very useful to have around with you. And it's a great feature to have. If you have any questions about that after the show, you can call Dr. Bailey at her office. That number is 757-7428. That's 757-7428. We're going to go ahead and take our first break and come back with more about fear and how that affects your life, especially when it comes to sleep and accentuating some symptoms of sleep apnea or sleep loss. We'll be back right after this on Ask the Expert with Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey on WCHS, the voice of Charleston.
Snow, sleet, rain, wind, and hail. When Mother Nature is making news, tune to your severe weather station, 58 WCHS.
Attention, West Virginia. A record-breaking savings event is going on now at Moses, the used car store in St. Albans. Inventory is at an all-time high, and prices are at an all-time low. Now through Sunday only at Moses, the used car store's incredible 4-day sale. Moses, the used car store has literally cut the price on every pre-owned vehicle in stock by hundreds, even thousands of dollars. The savings are unprecedented, and the clock is ticking. The 4-day sale absolutely ends this Sunday and will not be repeated. Time is running out for the year's most incredible savings on the area's biggest and best selection of used cars, trucks, and SUVs. And you can shop with confidence because your credit is always good at Moses Ford's Special Finance Center. But you've got to hurry, because when it's over, it's over. You can call at 304-722-4900, or better yet, come see all the deals in person today. Only at Moses, the used car store, conveniently located on Route 60 in St. Albans. Just 10 minutes from Charleston and miles away from high prices.
Would you like to instill a love of music in the children in your life? Bring your whole family to Happy Birthday West Virginia with the West Virginia Symphony Orchestra. Join the WVSO on Saturday, October 19th to celebrate the 150-year history and unmatched beauty of the Mountain State. This concert also features a performance by the Charleston Ballet, dancing to Maestro Cooper's very own On the Appalachian Trail. The fun starts in the Clay Center at 10 a.m. with a musical instrument petting zoo and other children's activities. Tickets are just $5 for children and $10 for adults. Call the Clay Center box office at 304-561-3570 or order online today at wvsymphony.org. The Family Discovery Series is sponsored by City National Bank. Be a part of the WVSO's award-winning educational and family programs that reach 30,000 students every year. Happy birthday, West Virginia, with the WVSO. Fun for the entire family. Order online today at wvsymphony.org.
Who's your lawyer? You say you don't need one. Maybe not today, but chances are good sometime you will need a lawyer. Injury, Social Security, a will, insurance disputes. When your legal problem does appear, remember the Peyton Law Firm, the power of Peyton. It's just a phone call away. 304-755-5556. Write it down. Peyton Law Firm. 304-755-5556. And on the web at PeytonLawFirm.com.
The year was 1917. The United States enters the war that was thought to end all wars. Jazz music was recorded for the first time, and in Charleston, West Virginia, Harry Pugh begins a furniture business in his brand new brick warehouse.
And for the last 96 years and 3 generations, the Pugh family has continuously operated the furniture store, maintaining Harry's high standards. So we're celebrating our 96th year with our biggest and best sale ever. After all, you're only 96 once.
Just about everything we carry is offered at prices lower than ever before. Solid wood bedroom and dining furniture, executive and home office furniture, truckloads of handcrafted sofa groups brought in just for this occasion. Stop in for the celebration and the savings. Like my grandfather would say, it's better quality furniture at prices you want to pay.
Pugh Furniture Warehouse Showrooms, 1320 Smith Street, Charleston. Visit us at pewfurniture.net. Open 7 days a week. Call us toll free at 1-877-BUY-PUGH.
Nobody really likes Monday until they have Shoney's Monday Special. All day, every Monday, Shoney's serves their fantastic All-American Burger. Hand-patted 100% ground beef, cooked to your order, served on a toasted bun with your favorite fixins like lettuce, tomato, red onion, pickles, and mayo. Choose crispy fries or Shoney's new Dixie chips as your side and add fresh brewed iced tea, all for only $4.99. Lose your Monday blues with the $4.99 All-American Burger Special at Shoney's. Let's eat.
Past 9 o'clock. You're listening to Ask the Expert. WCHS, the voice of Charleston. Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey is our guest this morning, and you can give us a call at 345-5858, 345-5858 with any questions that you have this morning. We'd appreciate your phone call and would answer those. We're talking a little bit, it's the season, Halloween's coming up, it's the season of fear, and we just got over a lot of stressful situations where that was causing fear, like the war over the debt ceiling and so forth that just got cleared up. And we've been talking a little bit how that can affect your life and some of the ways to resolve that. And one of the things that you can do is if you're having trouble sleeping and you need to figure out what's going on is you can have a sleep study done. But people are talking about fear and being scared are scared of those. I'm actually one of them. I'm interested in the idea, but it kind of, thinking about it makes me think all these things hooked up to me, and I go in, and you've seen some movies where maybe, not the most pleasant things happen, but that's not the reality of it, right?
No, but it is a fearful situation, and it's fearful for a couple of reasons. You're sleeping in a different environment, and then you do have all of these leads hooked up to you, and then you have somebody watching you on a TV screen. So there are quite a few people that will not address their health issues if they have a concern about having sleep apnea. They won't go because they're so fearful of going in that environment. So what we do to help people is we do home sleep testing.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I have a machine in my office. People take it home, hook themselves up because it's not rocket science. It's pretty simple. I've only had 2 people mess it up, and they happen to be physicians. But it turns itself on. It turns itself off. You bring it back to me the next day, and that way I can see, do you have apnea? Now, it's not the best for very severely medically compromised people. They need to go and have that in-house sleep study. But this is a great option for people who are so fearful.
So this isn't something where, do you need to set up a camera as well? Is that part of the system, or is this just a monitor system?
It is just a monitor system. But it monitors your oxygen, and I can hear you snore all night, and it lets me see if you stop breathing and what kind do you have. Because sometimes when people stop breathing, they have an obstructive sleep apnea where that tongue falls back, or they have the central where the brain's just not working to tell you to breathe. So my machine is very good. And if I see we need to go then to a formal sleep study, I refer it out. But, I just want people to realize they come to me for snore appliances or for sleep apnea appliance without a formal diagnosis from a board-certified sleep physician. Insurance will not cover this treatment.
So you need to make sure that you have all the process in order, so your insurance is going to end up paying for that, which you can help them do by leading them through the graduated steps of getting the proper not only treatment but the proper diagnosis. As with any medical or scientific field, you need the data in order to make decisions, and so this is your way of collecting that data.
Oh, absolutely. And for that fearful person that will not go, this could potentially save their life to do a home sleep study. Home sleep studies now are becoming more favored by insurance companies because when you do an in-house sleep study, it is very expensive. So insurance companies are particularly looking for ways to save money, of course, and it's not for everyone, but boy, the people who will not go have any treatment, this is a fabulous, and it is not as expensive by far, way to solve that issue.
That's an outstanding idea. If you have any questions about this that you don't want to call and talk in on the radio about, you can give Dr. Bailey a call at her office at 757-7428, 304-757-7428. I find that fascinating because it is something that if I was in that situation, I'm not scared of many things. I'm pretty logical about most situations, but something like that where you talk about being observed and having the all of the leads attached to you and things like those. To think about it, it does make me panic a little bit. So to think that there is an option where I can do something in the home and I would be able to be evaluated in that way, that's a big stress relief. That's a fear relief. If we're talking about that really takes a lot of the fear out of it. You're in the comfort of your own home and you're having it done and you're giving the data to you and you can make those decisions based off of that. That is really the best of all worlds, it seems like to me.
And then there are times like this Tuesday, I'll be going to the sleep lab with my patient because if I make an oral appliance, I have to do the adjustments. And sometimes, I go to the sleep lab, and I do particularly have this one lady, she is extremely fearful. And when I said, I'll go with you, and she says, if you go with me, I'll go. So, sometimes I have to take the extra and go a little bit further past just staying in the office. I have to go to a sleep lab with my patient.
But that's great service, and I think that you have to make sure that you get that information and the adjustments, like you said. If someone is ultimately, if they present the data back to you, they have they take the equipment home and they present the data back to you, and they end up having sleep apnea. You're able to diagnose that they have sleep apnea. We've talked about it before, but what are some of the common treatments that you would progress through?
Well, let me come back and say this, because it's really important for listeners to know this. A dentist cannot diagnose by law sleep apnea.
Okay.
It must be formally diagnosed by a board-certified physician. So when I do my home sleep studies, the results go to a board-certified physician because I'm trying to keep it legal and I want to do it in the best interest of the patient. So just so everyone knows, a dentist cannot formally make a diagnosis of sleep apnea.
And you go through those steps automatically to make sure that that's all taken care of. And that also helps, like you said earlier, with the insurance portion of it. You're getting everything signed off on properly to make sure that goes through.
Oh, absolutely. Now, what was your other question there? I apologize.
It was once that you do send off the results and get that certified that there is sleep apnea, what are some of the common treatments that you progress through?
Well, a CPAP is the gold standard. In that, I always talk about it, and people who've listened to me before, I'll tell them it's the reverse vacuum cleaner. But 50% of the people cannot tolerate their CPAP. for claustrophobia reasons. The pressure's too high. They don't want hooked up to a machine, or the hunters, they can't plug it in. So there's lots of reasons that they can't wear that. Now, the other thing is an oral appliance. That's where I come in, and that is my special niche in life. I love making oral appliances for people who cannot tolerate, or very claustrophobic, or can't wear that CPAP. And there's a portion of patients that we make an oral appliance so they can wear CPAP in conjunction. So I do combo therapies too.
What are some of the differences, some of the things that you can do with an oral appliance that are different from, obviously it's not necessarily a functioning machine, but as far as the way that it interacts with putting it on your face or in your mouth, what are some of the differences with having an appliance built?
Well, there's over 100 appliances on the market right now. So there are only about 49, 50 of them that are FDA approved. When people come to me, I always tell them different shoes fit different feet. These are custom built to fit over your teeth, almost like a football player wearing a mouth guard. But they're very comfortable. They fit over upper and lower. And you have to choose the right appliance for the right person. And what that's going to do is mechanically open up the airway and hold it open while you're asleep so it doesn't collapse at night.
What are some of the things to get a proper fit that you need to look out for? Is it like the structure of the jaw, the size, and the width of the face and so forth?
Yes, we do whole lots of measurements and lots of photographs, and I use a special computer to see where am I going to put that jaw in space. You have to open the bite up and move the jaw forward. And the best way I can describe this for people to understand is if you've ever had a CPR class, like you're going to save somebody's life, they're down and out and they're dying, the second thing you're going to do is tilt their head back and pull the jaw forward, open up the airway. So that's what I mechanically do with these oral appliances. So you're mechanically moving that forward. So.
And it's like an assistance, like with any other medical appliance. It assists you to be able to open up those airways and to address some of the issues that you're having.
Sorry. Oh, that's okay. But, you asked me a question about, what are you looking for? We look at anatomy. We're looking at the muscle structure. We actually give people muscle exercises to strengthen the muscles in the back of the throat. But when you get into the area that I'm in, you have to look at the whole picture. We look at nasal obstruction. So I refer to ear, nose, and throat should I see something abnormal there. But you have to look at the whole package. Big tongues.
Again, with a big tongue, that also causes a problem. I remember in one of our last shows, I learned that. I didn't know that the actual width of your tongue can contribute to those problems, but that is the case.
Absolutely. And, the tongue is a big, strong muscle. But when you go to sleep and it's relaxing and it falls into the back of the throat and blocks your airway, that's a significantly scary. It's life-threatening.
And with some people, I have a relatively broad tongue, I think. So, with some people, you could get pretty good closure there. It could almost seal up the passageway, it seems like.
Yes, just so everybody knows, I have not looked at Dale's tongue yet.
That's true. I don't, but I'm pretty sure that mine's on the broad side of things. But we did touch on a little bit earlier about insurance, and sometimes when folks think about dentistry in some way, they think about that there's cosmetic or vanity procedures that are done. But in your case, what you're doing is all medical related. So this isn't something, this is all something that if you go through the proper channels and you have insurance, that should be covered by your insurance.
Yeah, this is major medical. I never ever billed dental for this because this is a major medical issue.
So again, if people have that kind of fear in the back of their mind, if they're worried about that, this is medical. This is something that it's a major medical issue that you need to have taken care of, and Dr. Bailey can help you out with that. This is Ask the Expert this morning. Did I cut you off there, Dr. Bailey? I'm sorry about that. You can give us a call at 345-5858 if you have any questions for Dr. Bailey. That's 345-5858. We're going to go ahead and take our next break and be back right after this. You're listening to Ask the Expert on WCHS, the voice of Charleston.
Sports, tech gear, movies where stuff blows up. It's a guy thing. Metro News Hotline with Dave Weekley. Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 58 WCHS.
The triumphant return of Trans-Siberian Orchestra's The Lost Christmas Eve. Presented by Hallmark Channel. A rock holiday tradition for a new generation. Don't miss the encore and final performance of The Lost Christmas Eve. Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Live live in concert.
November 20th at Charleston Civic Center.
The power of rock with the majesty of classic. A multi-sensory experience that is truly a must-see.
Tickets are on sale now at LiveNation.com, Ticketmaster, or Civic Center Ticket Office.
The new rock tradition for the whole family this holiday season. Trans-Siberian Orchestra's The Lost Christmas Eve. Latest album available at Amazon.com.
After an injury or illness, count on Advanced Physical Therapy to get you back to the life you love. Here's Jamie Tridico.
We give people the knowledge, the confidence, and the support that they need to get back to living the life that they want, to doing the things that are meaningful to them. It's not a matter of what your range of motion number is, but if gardening is something that you want to get back to doing, then you're going to be more motivated. We support whatever is important to the patient.
Online at aptwv.com, Advanced Physical Therapy.
Find out what's moving West Virginia forward with WV On the Dot, an outreach program from the West Virginia Department of Transportation. Each Saturday morning at 9:05, hosts Randy Dameron and Brent Walker, along with Secretary of Transportation Paul Maddox, will bring you the latest transportation agency news, including discussion, ideas, and insights. Email your questions and comments to WVOnTheDot at WVRadio.com. That's Saturday at 9:05 a.m. WV On the Dot on 58 WCHS, the voice of Charleston.
Hey, it's Guy Fieri, and before the game, it's all about the tailgating. Burgers, sausage and peppers, onions, hot wings, you name it. But come game time, if you got yourself a whole bunch of heartburn, roll out the Rolaids.
Don't let heartburn keep you from enjoying the things you love. Rolaids gets you back in the action fast. Its dual-active formula neutralizes more acid than Tums. For indigestion and heartburn, get rapid relief with Rolaids.
R-O-L-A-I-D-S? Now that's how you spell relief.
Use as directed. Acid neutralization may not correlate with symptom relief.
This is Hoppy Kirchner. For decades, 58 WCHS has been your source for the best game day coverage of Mountaineer football. And that commitment is stronger than ever. Join me 3 hours before each Mountaineer game for Gold and Blue Countdown, followed by the Sports Brunch. Once the game kicks off, Game Line provides live reports from the game from all across the Big 12 and around the country. And after the final whistle, there's Gold and Blue wrap-up and the point after. The best Mountaineer game day coverage is right here, like it's always been, on the voice of Charleston, 58 WCHS.
It's about 17 minutes until the top of the hour, until 10 o'clock. You're listening to Ask the Expert, WCHS. The voice of Charleston, our expert this morning that's good enough to come in and talk to us is Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey. We're talking a little bit about the fear. It's the season of fear. Halloween's right around the corner, but also how fear can affect your sleep. It can affect your life, and it can also give you some more intense variations of your symptoms if you have sleep apnea or TMJ. And if you have any questions about that, you can call this morning 345-5858. That's 345-5858 if you have any questions for Dr. Bailey. You know, I think I cut you off before we went to the break. We were talking about insurance a little bit, and the main point is that most insurance carriers will cover your procedures.
Every single insurance covers sleep apnea appliances, the oral appliances for the dentist to treat, with the exception now Medicare will cover it and all other insurances, with the exception of PEI in West Virginia. So,
wow, really?
Yeah, and I always think that that's a little bit unusual. I've met with them several times, but they will not cover an oral appliance. And, you know, we have a lot of people out there that work for our government that cannot wear CPAP, but yet they won't pay for an oral appliance. And I said, probably the only way this is going to get taken care of is if the governor actually gets sleep apnea and he can't wear an oral appliance. So maybe then something will change. But it's sad that, you know, state employees cannot get a great treatment that's out there.
So something that could be considered necessary for their health is something that if you happen to have PEI, that's not going to help you out in that case.
Correct.
But otherwise, other insurance carriers are going to cover that.
Yes, even Medicare covers oral appliances. Now, I am not in the Medicare network, and I do not bill Medicare, but even they, throughout the nation, will pay for this type of treatment because they see the importance of it.
You know, I was talking a little bit ago about on my vacation, and I got into a bit of snoring, and that can cause fear as well, or stress anyway. It's especially for maybe others that are in bed with you or something along those lines.
Oh, definitely, and snoring is a huge problem because anybody that's around you, you're disturbing them, and you're constantly worrying about it. You know, and the hunters, they're going to disturb their buddies there. But, you know, snoring is harmful for your health, definitely.
Just flat out, snoring is harmful for your health.
Absolutely.
In what ways, that kind of disturbs me. I don't know how big of a problem that I have, but I know that I definitely do have one from time to time. What are some of the issues that can come up?
Well, there's a ton. The one thing that people need to realize is if you snore a lot, that is a sign of sleep apnea. Doesn't mean everyone has it, but it puts you in a higher probability of having sleep apnea, so you need to have that examined. Also, people with loud snoring, 67% have a higher chance of having a stroke.
What?
So
wow.
Loud snorers, that's a problem. And they're finding now that when they snore, you know, the carotid artery clogs up, and that's arteriosclerosis, and you have the heart attack. So they're finding that snoring now is becoming a bigger health risk.
So when we talk about an increased chance of a stroke and a heart attack, things along those lines, is that something that reducing the snoring, is that will actually help reduce the chances of that happening if you're in that kind of risk category?
Oh, sure. It will definitely reduce it. And there's a lot of other health spin-offs, which I'll go over in a second. But I want everybody to just visualize when you do snore loud, the back of your throat, it's moving 25 times on the average per second.
Wow.
So there's a huge, fast vibration. And you have to think, does that cause the inflammation? So all night long that you're snoring, you have inflammation there as well. Not only the decibel level and the vibration and the carotid arteries clogging up, but you have that inflammation all night.
Right. So 25 times a second.
Yeah, that's pretty fast, isn't it? You can't even clap your hands that fast.
No, not even close. I can't come close to doing that. Yeah, that's something to think about for sure.
And the other sleep spin-off is, you know, you get sleep deprivation when you snore. You get drowsiness and irritable, lack of focus, and there's also a decrease in your libido.
So it doesn't only affect your partner who may be sleeping in the bed beside of you, but it also, snoring can affect your own sleep.
Yeah, well, I have a funny story on that one a little bit, and I'm almost afraid to tell it. But, you know, I went to sleep on my dad's couch last weekend. I had to get the sun up to go hunting, so I went to sleep, and I thought, my gosh, what is all that noise? Well, it was me. I was snoring, and I woke myself up, and I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. But I do wear a snoring appliance. You know, I don't have sleep apnea, but I wear an appliance to sleep in so I don't disturb my husband.
That's courteous and also something that I may be interested in at some point. I may have asked you this before, getting off of this of the sleep issue for just a moment. We'll come back to that. But with apnea, if you have parents that are each diagnosed with apnea, are you more likely to get it as well? Is it hereditary in that way, or not necessarily?
It's hereditary, and there's a lot of hereditary factors like the shape of your face. When you asked me about anatomy before, you know, if you have the same profile as your dad and your chin's receded back, you're more prone to have sleep apnea. So there is a huge genetic connection with sleep apnea.
Is there any particular age that you should really start worrying about it? Is it better to catch it when it's younger, or are the symptoms going to get worse as you get older that makes it easier to think maybe I do have a problem and need to go see someone? Well,
it starts at birth. You know, and I have many people who call and say, my child is snoring, what do I do? And I went, red flag, stop it now. You know, find out, why is that child snoring? Is it airway obstruction? Is the jaw in the wrong place? So at birth, if you have little children and they're snoring, folks, you got a red flag flying. You should take care of that now.
And I'm guessing that some of the things we're talking about as far as with sleep health goes, that could also affect younger sufferers and maybe even be more of an issue. Is that possibly true? Like if you have a young child who has problems with snoring and they're suffering from some of these harmful side effects in sleep, then they're also not getting enough sleep and possibly waking themselves up and things along those lines.
Yes, and they find now that children, the ADD, attention deficit disorder, many of those children have sleep apnea or they're snoring, and they grit and grind their teeth. folks, if your kids are grinding their teeth and you hear it, you have another red flag flying. Do something about it. Get this evaluated by your dentist.
And obviously, if a child does need an apparatus of some kind or a mouth guard of some kind or something like that, that's something that is available for children and something that you could fit out.
Yes, and then we're always looking at the anatomy, the back of the throat, or the tonsils the size of golf balls. You know, get the tonsils addressed. Make sure that you can breathe through your nose. To stay healthy, anyone, whether it's a child or an adult, you really need to breathe through your nose.
Yeah, because I know I've had some friends that have had problems in the nasal area, and they had all kinds of health issues that were related to that, where they only could breathe through their mouth, and especially with sleeping and things along those lines. It took them. This was a long time ago. I think technology's come a little way since then, but I know that they suffered pretty significantly from it, and it can really change the way that your life is if you're not getting enough sleep at night or something along those lines.
Right, and when you breathe through your nose, there's a special thing produced, nitric oxide, and that's what keeps the lining of blood vessels healthy. So if you mouth breathe, you lose out on that.
Really?
So mouth breathers do not have that luxury of having what's going to protect the blood vessels.
So breathing through your nose is actually healthier, or it's a normal part of your physiology that helps your health.
Oh, it's huge. It warms the air, it humidifies it. You know, and it moisturizes it, warms it, filters. So if you're mouth breathing, you bypass all of that. But you also lose out on the good protective lining for the blood vessel.
I learn something every time we do one of these shows, and that's my big one for today, I think. I didn't know that there's actually health benefits to being able to breathe properly through your nose other than increased airflow. I didn't know that it was actually healthier to do so, or part that you needed to be able to do. Learn something all the time on this show, I tell you. Dr. Bailey, we do have one final break that we need to take, and we'll go ahead and do that. Let me get our numbers out one more time. We might have time for your question when we come back. 345-5858, 345-5858. Also, Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey can be contacted at her office number. That's 304-757-7428, 757-7428. WVSmileArtist.com is the website if you want to go there right now. However, in 10 days or so, you can go to the all-new website, which I'm looking forward to, and that's going to be WVSleepandTMJ.com. So you can write that down, go ahead and bookmark it, and then towards the end of the month, you can check that again and see the all-new website. Again, that's WVSleepandTMJ.com. We're going to go ahead and take our last break and be back right after this on Ask the Expert, WCHS, the voice of Charleston.
This is Hoppy Kercheval. The best game day coverage is still right here, starting 3 hours before each Mountaineer kickoff on 58 WCHS.
Attention, West Virginia. A record-breaking savings event is going on now at Moses, the used car store in St. Albans. Inventory is at an all-time high, and prices are at an all-time low. Now through Sunday only at Moses, the used car store's incredible 4-day sale. Moses, the used car store, has literally cut the price on every pre-owned vehicle in stock by hundreds, even thousands of dollars. The savings are unprecedented, and the clock is ticking. The 4-day sale absolutely ends this Sunday and will not be repeated. Time is running out for the year's most incredible savings on the area's biggest and best selection of used cars, trucks, and SUVs. And you can shop with confidence because your credit is always good at Moses Ford's Special Finance Center. But you've got to hurry, because when it's over, it's over. You can call at 304-722-4900, or better yet, come see all the deals in person today. Only at Moses, the used car store, conveniently located on Route 60 in St. Albans. Just 10 minutes from Charleston and miles away from high prices.
Just a few minutes left in our program this morning. You're listening to Ask the Expert, WCHS, the voice of Charleston. It's Friday, everyone. You made it to Friday. The weekend is right around the corner, and we're glad that you're listening in to us this morning. And we're talking to Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey, and we do still have time for another question. If you want to give us a call at 345-5858, 345-5858. We had been talking this morning about some of the fears, that just everyday fears that kind of surface in our life, and how that leads to possibly decreased sleep health, and also how it could increase some of the symptoms of sleep apnea and TMJ and so forth. I mentioned your new website, which is going to be WVSleepandTMJ.com. That's going to be rolled out before the end of the month. But there was a couple of things that you were telling me about that I think is very interesting. You have some educational videos on there as well.
Yes, you can go on and look at all these little videos, and they're very short clips, and they tell you about bruxing. what do we do and what to look for when people grit and grind their teeth. They have videos, or I have videos on sleep apnea. So you actually get to see what it looks like when a person has an apnea event or TMJ disorder. So it has a lot of interactive videos, and it also has screening tests. I have 2 1-minute screening exams that are very simple to take. So that's just a nice option out there.
I think that's an outstanding kind of a little service to offer on your website, because I know I'm part of that generation that if I think that there's something wrong with me, I'm immediately going to go to the internet and I'm immediately going to start looking up, okay, here's my symptoms, this is what I have. But the problem that you have with that is not all of that information is curated properly by people that actually know what's going on. A lot of people will put out information. I won't call it disinformation. It's just kind of uneducated or anecdotal. You don't know if exactly what you're looking at is accurate. So when you go to your website, for instance, your new website, when you have it up and running, these are all videos that you've kind of already approved. You know that they're accurate and everything. So if you want to go and look at these things, you know that what you're looking at is real, other than which is different from going to YouTube and just looking something up. You have no idea what you're looking at.
Right, and we don't want to call these fear videos. When people go, it's because they have a concern, but they should be fearful of sleep apnea because it is life-threatening. Snoring is a big red flag, and so is the TMJ. So I didn't want to reflect that these are fear videos. They're educational videos.
Yeah, and that's something that I know for me, that's something that I would look at right away. It would be, I think that when you have that kind of benefit tied into your website, it's something that you want to go, that as a potential patient, you would go and you would be able to do that research ahead of time, and you're getting the accurate information. And I can't stress enough how important that is, because I've been a victim, and I know people that's been a victim of finding things on the internet that's not true. You think it's coming from an official site. You think because the web address is, freemedicaladvice.com or something. If that's a real website, I'm not endorsing it or saying that it's bad. I'm just making it up off the top of my head. But you really never know what you're getting into when you go to a place like that. You don't know if it's going to be accurate information or not. So it's nice just to have the right videos up so you can kind of learn a little bit. And then, of course, you can call your office at 757-7428 if you need to follow up on that. When is it again that the new website is going to be rolled out?
On the 28th.
Okay, so that's going to be October 28th, just before Halloween. So that's kind of appropriate when you consider that we've been talking about fear a little bit this morning. And again, that new website is going to be wvsleepandtmj.com, wvsleepandtmj.com. The current website, again, if you want to go there, is wvsmileartist.com.
Yes, and a nice thing about these websites that we've developed too, all of your history is HIPAA protected, but you can fill out all your exam forms and submit it to the office without me mailing it to you. It's all going to be available for you to fill out your medical history.
That's an easy way to do it. So if you want to get kind of everybody thinks about, when you go to the doctor, especially for the first time, you better show up, a little bit early so you can fill out all your paperwork and everything. This is one way that you can kind of get a leg up on that and get all the paperwork and everything filled out ahead of time. So your office can have all the information, and you can do anything previous to the visit that you need to do and have it ready to go. So when you show up, you still want to be early, of course, because you want to make sure you have everything ready to go, but you won't have to sit there and necessarily fill out all that paperwork by hand.
It just makes it so much easier.
I know with me, too, and this is where the benefit would be for me, and also for hypothetically for your office workers. My handwriting's terrible, so having something that's available online for me to be able to type out, and then you guys would print it out and have that as part of your record, as opposed to something where I'm holding it on my lap and trying to fill it out in your office, it's going to be a lot easier for you. I tell you what, because my handwriting, one of the things I did not do very well at is handwriting. My handwriting is very bad. Dr. Bailey, thank you very much for being here this morning. We appreciate you coming in.
Well, thank you so much, and you have a happy Halloween.
You do the very same. Nothing to be scared at out there. It's just Halloween coming up. It is the season for that. Once again, Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey, you can get a hold of her at 304-757-7428. Thank you very much for spending your Friday morning with us on Ask the Expert, WCHS, the voice of Charleston. Weekend's right around the corner for you. You can join Hoppy Kercheval with Talkline coming up next, and then Dave Weekley and myself at 3 o'clock this afternoon with the WVU Tailgate edition of Metro News Hotline. This is WCHS Charleston. Have a good morning, everyone.
It's 10 o'clock. WCHS AM Charleston, a West Virginia Radio Corporation station.